Join the coven. I Hunt Reverse Vampires. A story written by Cecily 1987. Part 12. I looked into the eyes of Alejandro's mask. Its round, creepy eyes stared back at me. Its formerly pale white was now burnt black across the right side of its surface. Half intact, half burnt black. It was a perfect metaphor for how we felt after our disastrous first mission. Yes, we had completed the mission, but we got our butts kicked doing it. Alejandro, our teacher, was dead, just like all of our former classmates. Just like my brother. I felt like this war was tearing the heart out of me. I could have sat in my room and been a depressed boy all day. I wanted to. I was exhausted. But Mika came in to interrupt my sad time. "If you're naked, get dressed quick. I'm opening my eyes in 5 seconds, she said while bursting into the boys-only dorm with her hands over her eyes. I was the only one in the room due to being the only male still alive, other than Voss, who was still in medical. I sat there fully dressed, letting her count down obnoxiously. I felt like I could strip down naked to surprise her when she opened her eyes, but I don't think we were close enough for that to be more funny than creepy. Once she opened her eyes, she gave me a regretful smile. "Rafe wants us. It's another mission." "What the hell?" I spoke with anger. "We just got back from getting our butts kicked. It's only been 2 days. "Tell him that when you see him," Mika replied. "Voss is already back on his feet." Later, the 3 of us were in a briefing room while Rafe gave us our orders. Voss was bald now, with some hastily fashioned dentures in his mouth. Although he was back on his feet, he was slumped and his eyes were hollow, like a man undergoing chemo. I thought of making the joke, but maybe he could just get new robotic hair and teeth. But Voss didn't look like he was in the mood, and the joke kinda sucked anyways. Rafe explained to us that an emergency situation was occurring of Amit hunters. He explained there was a high-ranking hoodoo priestess who was an ally to the Amit clan who had been attacked 2 nights in a row by unidentified Mavericks and human cultists. It is believed the attackers are trying to steal a valuable object within the possession of the priestess. "What is the object in her possession?" Mika asked. "We don't know," Rafe responded. "Any highly dangerous magical artifacts are to be reported to the Amit clan. But Madame Monroe has been known to keep secrets and traffic in illegal magical items under the table. Whatever it is, it's dangerous enough for her to break her silence and reach out to us at the risk of reprimand. Furthermore, Madame Monroe has mentioned the possibility of demonic forces working in tandem with the Mavericks. Demons helping Mavericks are very rare. Demons can't possess Mavericks, and Mavericks can't command demons, so I would suggest they are working towards a mutual goal." I felt a shiver run down my spine. Mavericks, ghosts, and now demons? Every day in this life and world grew darker and darker. And don't forget the Nazis. Those jerks were probably behind this too. "Where are we heading?" Voss mumbled as he stared up at Rafe through drooping eyes. "And why us? We just got back from this." Me and Mika stared at him in surprise. It was unlike Voss to be so disrespectful, especially to Rafe. Rafe just stared back intensely. He was probably considering if he should let the disrespect slide or acknowledge it. He finally continued and explained to us. You three are going to New Orleans, Louisiana, because we have no agents in the area. Rafe reconsidered his words. As you were, he corrected. I mean to say there are no agents I can trust in the proximity of New Orleans. Rafe paused, and we all thought on the information he had just dropped. Rafe went between, looking all of us in the eyes individually, like he was considering saying something. Finally, he sighed and spoke. There is a fracture in the Amit clan, or should I say rogue extremist elements in the clan. There are mavericks at the furthest end of the spectrum of clan politics. I guess my enemies would say I emote the polar opposite end in my beliefs. What does that mean? What are your beliefs? I asked. I was preparing myself for a crazy rant to spill out of Rafe's mouth. But instead I got something pretty reasonable. We mavericks have lived alongside humans for centuries. We no longer need to subjugate humans to survive. Mavericks are already in positions of power all over the world. We can pay humans for their blood, or require it as an act of fealty to our clan. Humans have freely given their blood to the Amit clan for a while now. Capitalism at its finest, I remarked. Rafe just ignored me and rubbed a hand along his bald head in frustration. I'm of the mindset of transparency. Of course, we don't just reveal ourselves to the world, but we are slowly bringing humans into our inner circles. We work with humans. I have long pushed for a human to join the High Council. Voss's eyes widened, and he swayed back in surprise. He had been part of this life longer than me, and he understood the importance of Rafe's statements. Why do you think I accepted you into our clan, Voss? Rafe asked, fixing Voss in his piercing gaze. The purpose of your creation is to bridge the gap between humans, mavericks, and nobles. Many on the council wanted you thrown out. Others wished to rip your heart out from your chest and kill the last remnant of your mother. Is that how some of the members feel? How extreme do they get? Voss asked, worried. Some members, I believe, are working in the shadows with rogue maverick clans to cause chaos and conflict between us and humans. They wish to create so much havoc that the Amit clan is forced to intervene to save the world from mutual destruction. They want all human governments and institutions abolished, to be under the control of Amit and the largest maverick clans. If humans resist, they will be imprisoned, killed, or compelled to obey, Rafe finally finished. That's some pretty heavy stuff, Mika announced. So I take it you trust us if you're telling us all this, she smirked. Rafe considered. I don't distrust you. You three are too green to be influenced by rogue elements of the clan. Then Rafe took on a faraway look, like he was seeing back in time. I've seen what happens when mavericks acquire absolute power. Worlds burn. Rafe stood there for a while with his 1,000-yard stare. I don't believe he meant to share this bit of info with us. I didn't understand at the time what he meant. The three of us looked at each other awkwardly, waiting for Rafe to unpause, but he didn't. So I decided to take one for the team. Aw, you do care, I said. Rafe snapped back to reality and fixed me in his cold stare. Now leave, he commanded harshly. Anyways, that's all the build-up and exposition I needed to get out of the way for you to get an idea of what was coming up. We were heading to Nola to help a voodoo hoodoo princess, not to get her magic item jacked. Along the way, we would have to face off against a tag team of demons and mavericks. The next chapter will pick up with us right in the thick of it. Voss here. I couldn't find a report written by Ma on her recounting of events, but I did find an interview that was done between her and Rafe a year later. This transcript is beyond top secret and took my source a lot of hard work to acquire. Transcript begins. Miranda. What do you want to talk with me about, Rafe? Rafe. I just have a few more questions to ask you. There are some things I want to clear up before we cut you loose from training. Miranda. Oh God. Not more mind games. I got enough of that with the other trainees down in Mexico. I jumped through all the hoops. I completed all assignments with flying colors. Now I just want to get back to my niece. She needs family right now, but instead you whisk me away to some black site with boarded up windows and no AC? There is a sound of something slamming down hard on metal in close proximity to the recorder. There are a few seconds of silence. Councilmember Rafe clears his throat. Miranda. I was out of line. What do you want to ask me? Rafe. We have already gone over the day of your recruitment numerous times. In all of our subsequent interviews, you have recanted and retold certain things that differentiated from the original report. Tell me again why you felt the need to lie and eventually come clean with me? Miranda. Well, firstly, you insisted I wasn't telling the complete truth. I suppose I was telling everyone what they wanted to hear. The clean version. I've dealt with the law and military superiors for most of my life, and they always want the clean version, not the jagged, ugly version, even if they know it's bending of the truth. They want the story that's easily filed away. Rafe. So run me through it again. Tell me everything. If I detect you're holding back, I won't compel you, and I'll wash you out of the program. I won't even mind wipe you. I'll let you live knowing the sin you committed, and how you had a chance to fix it and you blew it away. Miranda. Okay. The first lie I told was how I got my injuries during the killing of that jerk Luther. The scratch across my cheek was from my sister. We were outside the house, still chained together. Rafe. So, she wasn't still under the mind control of Luther at this point? Miranda. No, she snapped out of it in the basement. All I had to do was remind her of her daughter, all alone back in the cabin. She helped me reach the window and I pulled her up. But she was a wreck, crying and sobbing, falling behind due to her leg. My sister had always been too soft, too easily hurt. She was going to get both of us killed, and we would never see Celia again. I told her I needed to dislocate her thumb so I could escape and bring back help. She was stupid and accused me of being selfish. She accused me of only caring about myself. The thing is, I've had a hard time caring about people, always have. I don't get emotional the way normal people get. I've never felt very human, so I learned enough to mimic real human emotions in order to fool the people around me. But Vicky knew the real me. And even though I said I was escaping for her and Celia, she saw through my bull. She knew I was only looking out for myself, and saving them was secondary. Rafe. So you left her. You escaped without her consent. Miranda. Yes, but she attacked me first. She had gone hysterical, started screaming and bringing up all the bull she had suffered from me through all the years. I'm a year older than her. People used to think we were twins, but we fought constantly growing up. Where I felt nothing, Vicky felt too much. We wanted nothing to do with each other for years. And we would have kept it that way if it wasn't our mother's dying wish that we make amends and be true sisters to each other. But it seems we were destined to be at each other's throats. Rafe. Where did you get the hammer? Miranda. From the basement. I smashed her thumb while she was unconscious. I choked her out in a headlock. They call it a guillotine. I would have dislocated her thumb like I told her earlier, but we made a lot of noise, and I could hear movement from within the cabin, so I had to move quickly and do it messy. Rafe, so that accounts for the scratch across your face. How did you get the other injuries? Miranda, you already know how. Rafe, tell me again. Miranda, it was Amand. I didn't attack him when I felt him trying to mind whatever me. He started with trying to beat the info out of me. He demanded I tell him what I knew about Luther. He wanted his whereabouts and how many followers he had with him. When I wouldn't break, he tried to force his way into my head. When that didn't work, and only then, did he consider my demands. I may hate my sister, but my niece is pure, and she was alone. Rafe, anything else about that day need correcting? Miranda, not really. Everything else is pretty accurate. Only I think Amand may have considered killing me before he called in for a clean-up crew. He could have blamed it on Luther, but I guess he knew it would look good having rescued a human, so he spared me. Rafe, let's jump forward a bit. After your training, when you got a week of furlough, you went back to Luther's cabin. Why did you go back? Very strange for you to be sentimental all of a sudden. Now remember, I only know a lot of what happened, and I'm just seeing if you're truthful. I'm seeing if you can be trusted. Miranda, well, I've always been an atheist, never believed in a loving father in the sky. That also gave cancer to my mom. But during training down in Mexico, I saw behind the curtain. The witch teaching us showed me the afterlife was real. And if it is real, then I'm going to hell for what I've done. Rafe, so you conjured your sister, why? Miranda, to ask for forgiveness, to tell her I was sorry. Rafe, and did she? Miranda, she saw through my disguise once again. She knew I wasn't asking for forgiveness out of my regret or mourning. She knew I was doing it for only one reason, to protect myself. She knew I was the same old selfish witch that had left her to die. So she told me she would never forgive me. She told me she would only be at rest once I was in the fires of hell. Rafe, so what do you plan on doing about this? There is a hell and heaven. I have met angels and demons. On top of that, the dead know things and rarely have a reason to lie. How will you move forward knowing there is no hope for your salvation? Miranda, I don't know. It's not my fault that I can't feel things like normal people. I can't empathize or care for others. I try, but I can barely think right now. I am so scared to die and be sent to the flames. They say God is love, and I can't feel love. Rafe, I said hell and heaven exist, but only for humans. Miranda, what? Rafe, hell is only for humans, them and the fallen, but not for Mavrips. Miranda, how do you know this? Rafe, let's just say we are not from this realm. Demon and angels see us as intruders or foreign infestation. Demons ignore us and angels attack on sight. Miranda, so as soon as you are bit, you are safe? Rafe, this is unclear. Newly turned Mavericks are still weak and have a lot of their humanity still intact. Maybe you are only safe from hell once you come fully into your Maverick powers, like an ancient Maverick. Miranda, so will you turn me? Will you make me a Mav? Rafe, no, I cannot. Only the Council can grant you permission to join the ranks of the Mavericks. If I were to defy them, we would both be imprisoned or worse. What I can offer you is a light at the end of the tunnel. You give me your loyalty in life, and at the end of your service I will put in the request for you to be turned. But you will have to work your butt off, you hear? Work so hard that no council member can refuse. Give me a career of results, and I'll give you immortality as your retirement plan. Miranda: but why put such an investment in me? Rafe: because I need soldiers loyal to me over the council. I am literally your get out of hell card. I am the only one who knows your dirty secrets, and I'm your only hope. Miranda: then I accept. I'll get results. I may have to cut some corners and bend the rules to get them. I'm sure you will help sweep them under the rug as long as it suits your agenda. Rafe: it is settled. You can go now, but there is one more thing I need to address. Miranda: what is it? Rafe: you must never lie to me again. End transcript. Part 13. The Gray. I awoke in the gray during our van ride to New Orleans. Everything was faded and monochrome. My head moved sluggishly back and forth to reveal the bus was empty. Voss and Taylor were gone. Even the driver was gone. The van just coasted along in a dreamlike state through endless fog. When I was young, this would always scare me. It felt so real, and it was so hard to breathe and move properly. It was like being underwater, slowly drowning while still being able to take small breaths. But my gran taught me all about the gray. Well, the gray is what my gran called it during her day. The gray was like sleep paralysis for normal people, but for people touched with magic, it was much more. It was a plane between consciousness and unconsciousness, between the spiritual and physical, between the living and the dead. And for the last bit of confirmation that I was actually in the gray, I looked down at my hands. Both were flesh and blood again, when I knew my right hand was mechanical now. In the gray, your body always took on the form you perceived of yourself at a subconscious level. My mind yet hadn't come to terms when I lost my hand while killing a moth with razor wire. I didn't bother with the illusionary spell to hide my hand like Taylor did for his leg. I just rocked a long black glove to cover my robotic hand, like I was Luke Skywalker or Arnie in T2. So I just sat in a world of washed out colors. Riding in the van to nowhere, Taylor and Voss were also nowhere to be seen, even though I knew they must be still beside me in the waking world. I reached out with my aura to magically probe the small confines of the vehicle. My aura pushed up against Taylor's aura and Voss's strange aura. It was good to know my teammates were still beside me in the waking world, but as soon as I touched Voss's aura, I recoiled out of primal fear. My mind was sent danger signals like I was a rabbit that had just walked into a den of a cobra. Voss's aura was terrifying, and I felt he could hurt me subconsciously if I pressed him with enough magic. If he did something, he may not even be aware he was hurting me. It could have been an instinctual reaction to my magical incursion. So I sat in the rumbling van and waited. Usually when I wake up in the gray, it meant I was summoned, or the universe needed to send me a sign. Finally, when I looked across from me, a brown-haired boy stared back at me. Taylor? How did you summon me? You know we are physically sitting right beside each other in the real world. I asked the familiar face, but then I drew back when I realized the face was slightly off. The boy had lighter and longer hair, a thinner nose, and was younger. I'm Tyler, his twin, the boy said with a knowing half-smile. Oh, Tyler, I've heard a lot about you, I replied with my own smile. Don't lie, Tyler laughed. The only time he shuts up is whenever I'm brought up. He tries to be cool and stoic about his past, like Voss. This was true, and I should have known better than to lie to a spirit, even if it was just exchanging pleasantries. Spirits didn't converse the same way the living did. I had figured out through context clues that Taylor had a twin brother, and the way Taylor's face would fall and he would go quiet when family came up. I knew he had lost his brother. "Did the mobs kill you?" I asked gently, cutting to the point. In my experience, most spirits respected being direct in conversation. "Yes, they did, and they will kill all of you if you aren't ready," he said calmly, his smile gone. "We have all seen it, and we have all come to warn you." "Who is we?" I asked the ghost of Taylor's late brother. "It's me also," said a gentle voice beside me. I turned to see the familiar sight of Mark, my old teammate. My heart almost broke, and before I knew it, I had hugged him. He was ice cold, but I didn't care. He hugged me back and I fought back tears, but the cold made my brain start working. "Taylor said you warned him already about Ma," I said as I pulled away to look at him. "That really takes a lot of willpower to speak to the living just once, and it gets harder to communicate the longer you've been dead." I looked back at Tyler. How were they still around us? It was like they were a team of guardian angels, but that would take tremendous spiritual power to accomplish. "How are both of you talking to me?" I asked. "Who was guiding you? Who was empowering you?" I asked sternly. Both the ghosts looked at each other nervously. Mark looked back and said, "It doesn't matter. Just hear out our warning." "Yes, it does matter," I interrupted. "The power you two are displaying is not natural to human spirits. You two could be under the spiritual thrall of an angel." I paused reluctantly. "Or a demon." For two ghosts, I had never seen so much expression go across their faces. Tyler's eyes went widened, and Mark's face got stuck in a grimace. Like I said something taboo. I didn't care, because there was something going on here. I wasn't going to let our enemies manipulate my team by using our dead friends to do so. "Mika, don't say such things," Mark pleaded beside me. But I smelled blood in the water. Something had them scared, and I was going to find out what it was. "I remember that purple-eyed shadow thing showing up at the seance. It was all thirsting after Voss. Is that freak behind all of this?" I demanded. "Is he the demon manipulating the both of you?" "I am no demon," a loud female voice screamed from beside Tyler. An inky blackness began to manifest itself in the seat next to him, and I sure ain't that torturing jerk with purple eyes. The blackness filled the entire van. It felt like a cloud of thick ash was rushing down my throat. With my sudden inhale of breath, it burned with every breath. I could hear millions of birds flapping their wings around me and cawing loudly. In all the blackness, I could see a red orb, letting off a deep red glow, floating in the seat beside Tyler. I looked closer to see it was pulsing, and not exactly an orb. It was a beating heart. Every time it pumped, the space illuminated the outline of an entire circulatory system. The spiderweb of veins and arteries would reveal a person sitting in the seat, before suddenly disappearing, only to light up again on the next heartbeat. Two eyes appeared above the red strobe of the heart, the whites of the eyes almost glowing against the darkness around it. A slim red circle appeared in the middle of both of them. I sat terrified, waiting for more to appear. But nothing did. It was just the two white eyes with the thin red circles, floating in the darkness of a pulsing circulatory system. Tyler and Mark were now completely hidden in the darkness. "Listen, little hunter girl, I am none of those things," came the scolding voice from the floating eyeballs. "We are all here to help the three of you live," the female voice said to me in a lower tone, trying to control its temper. The two of you are important to him. He needs you two to grow into the man I need him to be. So I will do anything to keep you alive and help his mission." I heard a twinge of softness in her voice towards the end. Who was she trying to keep alive? What mission? The more I stared at the beating heart, the more I understood. The heart was exactly where Voss was sitting in the physical world. "You're Voss's mother. You're the one who gave him his heart," I said with sudden recognition. This time the red circle eyes widened in surprise. I was right. "Ha, clever girl. Maybe I underestimated you. That's good. Maybe your enemies will too. They will never see you coming." Then the eyes jumped to be right in front of me. I looked around scared, only to realize my seat was gone and I was hovering in the dark void. "Your client, Madame Monroe, won't tell you everything, and neither will Rafe." The voice spoke in my ears. The eyes stared intensely into mine. "This will get your whole team killed, so I'm here to tell you everything." There was a pause in her speech as we just floated and stared at each other. I didn't know at the time, but she was weighing the risks of doing something dangerous to me. How do I explain this? Her eyes went into my eyes. Her thoughts went into my thoughts. An explosion of colors and memories flooded into my mind, like they were being downloaded. Tons of data being crammed into my smaller brain. It didn't feel like I was being shown anything new, but I was remembering lost memories. Images, smells, thoughts, and feelings shot through my mind like a highlight reel of memories. It was hundreds of lives being downloaded into my head only to be forgotten. I only kept the memories that the woman wanted me to see. The memories flew by my consciousness so quick, I could only make sense of some of them. I could only grab quick snippets to form a collage of experiences. I remembered a shining throne high above me. Me and thousands of others knelt before it in fear. I felt God's wrath laid upon me, and I saw Lucifer and his angels cast down like blazing balls of fire. I feared I would soon be having the same fate. Then my mind jumped ahead. I remembered a world like ours, but slightly different in many ways. I remembered the hundreds of different lives I had lived in this world. Then this too was gone. I remember feeling the heat from bombs exploding and the cold of nuclear winter. I remembered the grief of guilt and being exiled to a new world. I remember feeling love again after centuries of depression. I looked down at the dark-haired young boy with love in my heart. I remembered the joy of teaching him as we talked all night. And finally, I remember the doctor putting the gas mask up to my face as I lay staring up at the ceiling. Then all the memories stopped and I could think again. I had finally gotten to the information the woman wanted to give me. I saw the creature with purple eyes. It wasn't an angel or demon. It was a torturer from the depths of hell. An abysmal monster, not meant to be in this world. It didn't fear God and hated all of creation, and it wanted to cause pain. I saw it possess a fat older man, but this was a trick. Madame Monroe and the man had planned to steal the creature within the man's body so it could no longer hurt people. I saw the man fall to his death from a building. When he hit the ground, he splattered, but the monster was still trapped within the pieces of his corpse. Madame Monroe had the man's corpse sealed within a crypt in an enormous graveyard. I could sense the monster's anger as it tried desperately to escape the dead body that was now its prison. That thing, the purple-eyed monster, is the thing you are being called to protect, the woman's voice said to me. An unlikely pact between demons and a cabal of rogue mavericks has been made. This group seeks to steal the corpse with the unholt monster in it, and use its power for unholy purposes. Who are they, this group of demons and mobs? I asked out loud. I do not know, the voice replied. I can only see that they kill you, the other boy, and my Voss. There was a pause of hesitation before she said, "Here, let me show you." Suddenly, I was standing in the graveyard in the noonday sun, crypts and gravestones all around me. In front of me was Taylor, holding a rifle and looking nervous. Suddenly, Taylor's head exploded above his right eye. His blood sprang into my eyes and blinding me. I immediately dived backwards to take cover behind a gravestone. The vision jumped forward as I ran between the concrete crypts. I think I'm flanking the sniper. I turn the corner and see an enemy waiting for me. It was a tall, muscled man in a black tactical gear. He had his gun raised, only 4 feet away from me. I see he is wearing a silver wolf mask before he blasts me, pain shooting all through my torso. I'm back in the darkness now, screaming. The eyes of the woman are floating in front of me again. "We don't have much time left. Calm down and listen to me," the voice demanded. I stifle my scream and try to concentrate. "Tell Madame Monroe to remember Letty's spell she used on the train tracks," the voice demanded. "You have to remind her. You must get her to remember Letty and the train tracks." The darkness blinked away like a light being switched on in a dark room. I was screaming again as I saw Voss sitting across from me. He jumped in surprise, and I heard Taylor curse loudly. I was awake and back in the van with the team. "What the hell, Mika?" Taylor asked as I looked around, slowly coming back to reality. "Bad dream," I said finally, as I looked down at my robotic hand. "Well, whatever," Voss said impatiently. "We are pulling up anyway." "Where are we?" I asked. Voss shrugged. "I don't know completely. Some cemetery." I looked out the back window, and dread filled my heart. It was the familiar scene from my vision. Concrete crypts surrounding us. It is the graveyard where we die.